Hello footy fans, welcome to a massive episode 5 of the ultimate AFL preview show for 2017, and this weekend is the weekend that the 2017 AFL Premiership season begins. It begins on Thursday night at the MCG, the home of footy, and it's just going to be a spectacular round from there. So let's not muck around, let's get straight into having a look at, firstly, my predictions for 2017. So of course, every single year there is people who try to predict the upcoming AFL season and what's going to happen. Everyone wants to have an opinion, and I'm no different. So let's get straight into having a look at my 2017 AFL predictions. I'll start with my ladder predictions, and it's always hard to predict the ladder at the start of the season, but like most people, I've got the GWS Giants up on top. I love their list. They were exceptional last year. They made the finals for the first time and went all the way to the preliminary final, and they weren't far off from making the grand final. They've got a very promising list, a lot of young upcoming players who are starting to really rise now, and they've also got some experienced players as well who are going to be at a lot of benefit for them. So the GWS Giants top for me. That doesn't mean that I think they'll win the grand final, but geez, I reckon they might be there at the big day in September. The Western Bulldogs, I've put them in second. My team, I think a top 4 finish for them is highly likely this season. Of course, we've seen them the last couple of years from 2015 when Luke Beveridge took over, improve every year. Last year they finished 7th and was lucky enough to go all the way through the finals and win the grand final, win that Premiership Cup at the end of last season. And I think this year they will make top 4 and be up there again this year and be close to making that grand final again this year. So Western Bulldogs second for me. The Swans should be up there as well again this year. They've still got a good list. Of course, Lance Franklin is their probably their most they're probably their best player, their most important player, and he's set, I think, for another good year. So I think they'll finish third. West Coast Eagles are an interesting one. They've had a really good pre-season, and in fact the recruits of Sam Mitchell in particular, and also Drew Petrie as well in a way, have really benefited them coming into this season. So I think the West Coast Eagles will finish inside the top 4. Last year they were actually predicted to finish in the top 2 and make the grand final, but that didn't happen last year. They become a bit of a flop last season, but I think this year they'll be up there in the top 4, and I think they might be hard to beat this year, possibly. I put St Kilda in as 5th. I heard a stat the other day. I think it was, I'm not sure if this is the exact wording of the stat, although Bruce McAvaney said it on Sunrise the other day, that there's, I think it's every year or there's been a team the last couple of years that have finished outside the top 8 the previous year and then finished inside the top 5. So I think St Kilda is the team this year. I think they'll be the most improved team. Don't take my word for that stat, by the way, because I can't quite remember it, but I think St Kilda are going to be the most improved team, and I think they'll go all the way to 5th. I think they've got a very good list. They've had a very good pre-season. They've had a captain change, a bit of an odd captain change, but I'm looking forward to seeing how they go this year. I think they're going to finish as high as 5th place. Geelong 6. Not sure why everyone's riding off Geelong that much. I know they've had a few outs, but they've still got a pretty good list with Selwood and Dangerfield around. I think they'll be up there in the top 8. No question about that. The Hawks, you can't push them out of the top 8. They've still got a good list. The recruitment of O'Meara, but the losses of Mitchell and Lewis will hurt. But I think with O'Meara and also obviously Vickery recruited, Roughhead as captain, I think they are in good headspace as well. And then Melbourne, I think they'll also be an improving team of 2017. They are 8th for me. The Adelaide Crows 9th. Just with the injuries at the start of the season might cost them a little bit. Collingwood 10th. I think they're going to be really close to making the top 8 though. They've got one of the best midfields in the competition, but I'm not putting them in the top 8. Fremantle, I think, will rise to the occasion and finish 11th with Nat Fyfe and Sandlands back. North Melbourne 12th. That's not a dramatic drop, although it is because they did finish 8th last year. Richmond 13th, Essendon 14th. Port Adelaide, I think they might have another disappointing year, unfortunately. I just can't see how they're going to make the finals, and in fact, yeah, I think Ken Hinkley's going to be under a lot of pressure as the season goes by. Of course, David Koch with his comments the other day, I think that puts a lot more pressure on him, to be honest. The Gold Coast Suns 16th, the Brisbane Lions 17th, and then finally we have Colton, my wooden spooners of 2017, in 18th place. Of course, a lot of recycled players. Of course, I think Brendan Bolton is a great coach, and I think this is kind of the down spiral up sort of motion that Colton have to go through. So they're going to suffer a wooden spoon this year, but they might be up there again next year, closer to the top 8 maybe, or at least rising a bit more. So that is my ladder predictions for 2017. On now to my other predictions. These are, of course, my award winners and so forth. So I'll start with the AFL Grand Final. I think it will be the Giants and the Dogs. I think they're going to play an absolute ripper when they play each other twice this year. One at Manuka Oval and one at Etihad Stadium, both on a Friday night. Looking forward to seeing them play. I think the Western Bulldogs will win though and go bark to bark. So, and I hope they do, of course, because I'm a Western Bulldogs supporter, and how good was last year. I just want to taste that success again. So I think they'll be back-to-back and be premiers of 2017. The Brownlow medalist, I think Patrick Dangerfield will go back-to-back. He had a stunning year last year. Of course, the return of Nat Fyfe and Gary Ablett and a couple of others, of course, Marcus Bontempelli as well, will probably rise to the occasion this year like he did last year and get a few more votes. But obviously there'll be a lot of people taking it up to him, but I think Patrick Dangerfield will win the Brownlow medal of 2017. The Coleman medalist, I've had to give it to Lance Franklin. He is the best forward in the game for me, and he's in for another stunner of a year. I hope he kicks 100 actually. I hope he gets back to his 2008 best where he kicked 100. That would be sensational. And then my rising star, Sam Powell-Pepper, was fantastic in the JLT Community Series, so I've gone to punt and put Sam Powell-Pepper as my rising star. Of course, he is from Port Adelaide. So that is my predictions. On now to round 1. Okay, time now to get stuck into round 1 of the 2017 AFL season. This is the moment we have been waiting for all summer. Ever since last year's AFL Grand Final, we have been waiting for the 2017 AFL season to begin. It all kicks off this Thursday night, Thursday the 23rd of March at the MCG, starting at 7:20pm. It is Colton and Richmond. It is the traditional blockbuster to open the season, and really, really cannot wait for this game. Of course, you can watch all the action on 7 and also on Fox Footy. Of course, Richmond has won the last 4 games against Colton. The last time Colton beat Richmond was in the elimination final way back in 2013. That was a few years ago. Now, of course, how good of a game was that one, and how good was the crowd that day? But both teams did struggle in 2016. That's worth pointing out. But in saying that, though, I reckon Colton are going to struggle more than Richmond this year. And I am going to be tipping Richmond to win this game. I think they'll win it by possibly 15, 20, maybe 25 points, somewhere around that margin. I don't think they'll have a big win. I hope they don't have a big win, because that would be a pretty bad way to start the 2017 AFL season. I do hope it's a good game, but I think Richmond are going to win somewhere in between 15 and 25 points. So can't wait for the opener. Friday night, really can't wait for this game. It is going to be an absolute ripper. It is between Collingwood and the Western Bulldogs. This game, Friday the 24th of March, starting at 7:50 p.m. at the MCG, live on 7 and also Fox Footy. Of course, it's the debut of Brian Taylor joining Bruce McAvaney to call Friday night games this season. I know a lot of people have a lot of criticism to give to Brian Taylor, but I think he's one of the best commentators in the game. So I am very thrilled that he's joining my favourite in Bruce McAvaney to call Friday night games this year. But anyway, back onto the game. Of course, Travis Cloke meets his former side for the first time. How good is that going to be? We're not actually sure if he's going to play yet, but I think it's most likely that he will. The Dogs have won the past 4 games against the Pies, and the Dogs could win 5 in a row against the Pies for the first time since 1946. So that is a pretty incredible prospect that is. Of course, it will be the highest disposal team of 2016 being the Western Bulldogs v the highest tackling side of 2016 in Collingwood. I think this will be a game that the Western Bulldogs will win though, and I think they will win it, I'm going to say about 15 to 20 points maybe. It should be a good game, and I think it is one that we should all look forward to. Now Saturday there are 4 AFL round 1 games to get through, but they're a bit later on in the afternoon, kind of starting at around the twilight stages of the day. But there is a big grand final on Saturday afternoon, and that is the AFL Womens Grand Final, the AFLW League Grand Final, and this game is between the Brisbane Lions and the Adelaide Crows at Metricon Stadium, starting at 12:55 p.m. Local time, 1:55 p.m. Eastern time. So it should be a good clash, this one. Of course, the Brisbane Lions have gone undefeated this year. Of course, they drawn their last game of the home and away season, but they have gone undefeated, and the Adelaide Crows will kind of dropping off just a little bit towards the end of the season, but they did get a win against Collingwood to get themselves through to this grand final. It should be an absolute beauty. Of course, it is disappointing that it's not at the Gabba, but in a way it is a good thing that it is a curtain raiser to an AFL game, because I think that might attract a lot more people. Of course, this competition has been successful. It is no doubt about that. We saw how the WBBL competition went in its first year, and this has been no different. The support that's been shown by everyone has just been absolutely sensational. In saying that, though, I'm going to tip the Brisbane Lions. I don't think you can go past them. They're undefeated. I think they're ready to... well, they've been the best side in the competition, no doubt about that coming into this game. They did beat the Adelaide Crows in their encounter in Adelaide, South Australia, a few weeks ago during the home and away season. So in saying that, I think the Brisbane Lions are going to win the AFLW Grand Final, the first edition of the AFLW Grand Finals. So like I mentioned, Saturday 4 AFL Round 1 games. It starts with 2 games at the same time. I'll start with St Kilda and Melbourne. This game starting at 4:35 p.m. It's at the Dockland Stadium, Etihad Stadium of course, and really looking forward to this game. This is the battle of the 2 most promising teams in 2016, both with chances to make the finals this season. So how good is it that they meet in round 1 to, I guess, give us a little bit of a preview of who might be the most improved team of 2017, because in my opinion it's out of these 2 sides. The Demons haven't beat St Kilda since the 2006 elimination final, and that's 14 clashes they have lost to the Saints, so that's a lot, and that's of course 14 straight, and of course the other factor as well, the Demons have lost 24 of their 23 games at Etihad Stadium. They do not like this stadium at all, and they haven't beat St Kilda at Etihad since 2002. So there's a lot of stats here going in the way of the Saints. So I cannot go past the Saints. I think they're going to win this, and they might win it strongly. Who knows? But I think it will be a good game, and I think they might only win it by a small margin. Also at 4:35 on Saturday we have the Swans and Port Adelaide. This game at the SCG. And the Sydney have won the past 5 clashes against Port and won 13 of the last 14. So they have the edge over Port Adelaide. The Swans have scored at least 80 plus points in all of its last 5 clashes between Port. And of course, like I mentioned before, Port Adelaide and Ken Hinkley will probably be under a bit of pressure this year. So I'm going to tip the Swans. I think they'll get off to a great start in 2017 with a win. Saturday night, starting at 7:25 p.m. local time at the MCG, it is Essendon and Hawthorn. Of course, Luke Hodge will not partake in this game. Of course, he has been suspended because he didn't turn up to training. Of course, this is the return. Of course, they did return in the JLT Community Series, but this is the first home and away game for a lot of these Essendon players for a year. Of course, they had last year off due to a suspension. So I'm really looking forward to this game. It is live on 7 and also Fox Footy, and of course, just some little pinpointers. Hawks won 7 of the last 8 between the Bombers, 4 more than 50 points. Of course, Essendon defeated Hawks in a thriller at the MCG in round 2, 2015. And this is also the first time these two clubs have met in an opening round since 1971, and that was at Windy Hill. So my tip for this one, I'm going Hawthorn. I think it will be a good game though, but I think Hawthorn will be the winners in the end. And the final game of a massive AFL Round 1 Saturday, it is the Queensland Derby, the Q Clash as it's called. It's between the Gold Coast Suns and the Brisbane Lions. This game starting at 7:05 p.m. Queensland time. That is 8:05 p.m. Eastern time. You can watch all the action on Fox Sports 3. Really looking forward to this game as well. The Suns have won 3 of the last 5 against the Lions, 2 of them at Metricon, so they have beat the Brisbane Lions at their home ground in the past couple of matches. The Suns won 5 of 11 matches at home last year. And just on a important player note from Brisbane Lions perspective, Sorko is a very important player for them, 10th in the AFL player ratings at this present stage. I'm going to be tipping Gold Coast for this one. Of course, I think the Brisbane Lions will be on the improve under new coach Chris Fagan, but I think the Gold Coast Suns, they have a better list. I think they'll be far too strong in this match. There are 3 games on Sunday the 26th of March. It all starts at Etihad Stadium between North Melbourne and the West Coast Eagles. This game starting at 1:10 p.m. It will be live on Fox Sports 3. And the Eagles have won 7 of the past 9 against the Kangaroos. The Kangaroos, however, won 8 of 13 games at Etihad last year. The Eagles lost their only game at Etihad against the Western Bulldogs in season 2016. And of course, Drew Petrie, if he does play, if he's named in the side, he will meet his former side after that axing last year. I really do think the West Coast Eagles are going to be up in the top 4 in 2017. So I think they'll get off to a winning start against a young, developing North Melbourne. Very interesting game, this one. The Crows and the GWS Giants starting at 2:50 p.m. local time, 3:20 p.m. Eastern time. This game will be live on 7 and Fox Footy. Of course, this is at Adelaide Oval, and this is going to be a really good clash, I reckon. The Adelaide Crows have only lost 1 game to the GWS Giants. So they've played 7 games between each other. And of course, that game was away from home. Adelaide have beat GWS by more than 10 goals on 4 occasions. And we know that the GWS Giants are premiership favourites, but I think this would be a real big doomsday scenario if they were to lose this game against the Crows. If they don't win, I think that's a little bit of a doomsday for me, because if they're not winning this game, then maybe they shouldn't be premiership favourites. So very interesting game, this one. Of course, I'm not sure how the Crows first team is going to look. I think Tex Walker is not playing, so I'm going to tip the Giants to win in what should be a very interesting Sunday afternoon clash. And to finish off AFL round 1, it'll be a massive round. It all finishes at Domain Stadium in Perth between Fremantle and Geelong Cats. This game live on Fox Footy. It starts at 4:40 p.m. local time. That is 7:40 p.m. Eastern time. So a Sunday night game for those living in Melbourne, Sydney, Tasmania, Adelaide, and even Queensland in a sense as well. So, look, it's going to be interesting. Of course, it's the two Brownlow medalists of the past 2 years meet in Nat Fyfe, of course, winner in 2015, and Patrick Dangerfield, winner of last year's Brownlow medal. They will meet for the first time that those two have been named under the Brownlow medalist name, and of course last year Fremantle had a pretty poor record at home. They lost 9 of 12 matches at Domain Stadium. Of course last year was a very poor year from their point of view. Geelong did really well interstate last year, won 4 of 5 games interstate in 2016. That's a fantastic effort. So they come here with a good interstate record last year, and however though, Fremantle have won 3 of the last 5 against Geelong. So look, I kind of had to think about this one for a minute, because I think Fremantle might be with a bit of a shot, but I'm going to stick with the Cats. I think they'll win in what should be a good Sunday night clash. I'm looking forward to this one. A good way to end what is going to be a massive opening round. And that is it for the Ultimate AFL Preview Show, Episode 5. Thank you very much for clicking on and watching. How good is it to have a new season of AFL finally here, and it's probably going to be maybe one of the best seasons. Last year is going to be hard to beat, but we don't know what to expect this season, because there is going to be a few teams pushing to make the top 8 this year. I hope you enjoyed my preview of AFL Round 1. Don't forget to like, comment, share this video, subscribe. The Ultimate AFL Wrap-Up Show will wrap up AFL Round 1 next week, so do stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for all my other content as well. Of course, there's a lot of racing at this time of year as well, Group 1 racing, so the big Group 1 racing show is the show for you if you love your Group 1 racing. But until next week, I'm Jacob. Enjoy the opening round. I cannot wait for it to all start on Thursday night. Bye for now.